Carry Voice Radio.
Believe it.
Hey, this is Mahalia from the band 2 Mile Hill, and you are listening to CaribVoiceRadio.org, the edutainment station.
Okay, let's jump in here. Reloading. I didn't know that when I said Straight Talk and Motivation Reloaded, we would have technical difficulty. Let's rock. Live from Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, Lion. Up in here. The music is too loud. Let's reduce it. Okay, just did it.
Nada, nada. Why they show me some attitude? In the beginning, everything was so cool, but don't know what somebody told you. Or the pretty smiles on and my baby girl turning so rude. My baby mama is talking a lot. My baby mama say I know the force.
It's Padmore coming out of Ghana.
My baby mama say now I know she that they give her more money to until I say she taking me to court. Everything she wanna put it on me. And yana wako high, I said my coach we. Oh, she was cool at first, on the crown no chere me near my view, but I don't know what happened cause me kaita na me in the line up, first time cross.
Every song has a message for each and every person and each and every situation. I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up, what we are doing right here on Carib Voice Radio. This is, again, June, National Caribbean American Heritage Month across the United States. And also Juneteenth, but I haven't heard a lot about that. But this commingling is culturally driven. Who are we in the midst of our circumstance? Whether it's chaotic or whether we have enthusiasm that's really throttling through our life, we have to maintain our sense of value as we rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Ɔde bɛfema no,
Yeah.
fema no. Ɔgyae mu ma me, style bi abi. One thing, ɔno koraa no kyerɛ me style no, style no. Mekae daa na meyɛ ne lie no, lie no. First time koraa ɔde bɛfema no, fema no. Ɔgyae mu ma me, style bi abi. One thing, ɔno koraa no kyerɛ me style no, style no. Yeah, in the beginning it was so sweet. Me pese me yeah, me I don't speak. Sometime Ophelia now I frame me. Paddy where you think, come and let's eat. Yeah, in the starting. Now me can't say you go sweet till the ending. After the end result in the BPM more pet. Now I see some. Now I see the change first crown. Now I wind the wine them the grind me work easy me my phone on lipstick. Or tell it me his story. Now me dribble. Now my share the big cash. Me in me top. Now I'm massaging me 6 packs. It was right, little baby, and it's 6 lakh. She was the best friend ever. What coming home I said now a tear. And then we the do fight. But me kai down and me in the line up. First time bro, they be fema no. Jai mu mami, style be a be. One thing on the crown to them is style no. Me kai down and me in the line no. First time bro, they be fema no. Jai mu mami, style be a be. One thing on the crown to them is style no. On the crown to them is style no. Yeah, iPad more. Why you didn't show me some attitude? In the beginning everything was so cool, but don't know what somebody told you. Or the pretty smiles gone and my baby girl tennis old. Why you didn't show me some attitude? In the beginning everything was so cool, but don't know what somebody told you. Or the
It's a fantastic story.
pretty smiles gone and my baby
I'm tell it to you.
girl tennis so rude.
Yeah. This young man, his name is Padmore, and I met him virtually a couple of years ago. But what's interesting is, some people say to you that when God shows up and wake you up, get up, and some people don't. And then for the rest of their lives, in some cases, they miss the boat, the caravan that will bring them to the fruition of the things that they prayed for. So I was asleep one night, and next thing you know, I get up and Google Padmore, and I'm like, why do I want to Google my own name? That's kind of crazy. Well, crazy good maybe. So I get up and I Google my name, and the next thing you know, YouTube pops up and pops Padmore, and I'm like, Padmore, a rapper in Ghana? Let me check this out. So I go there and I listen to the music, and I said, hey, you got some nice beats, man. I reached out reluctantly, but he responded, and we started talking. Come to find out that his father named him Padmore as a default name because his father was kind of like a disciple of George Padmore in the sense of following George Padmore's life and legacy across Africa. And so we talked for a while. I spoke to the father a couple of times, but this guy is a very interesting guy in terms of his presence and what he does for a living. Now, he's a rapper and using African beats, Afro beats, and so on. But he's also by day an engineer who installs the internet in the homes across Ghana. And I thought that was fantastic. Here I am in the virtual world, cyber science, and here we go, meeting a guy that you were asked to wake up and go search for that you never even knew existed, and then you became friendly. And I'm hoping that he can be a part of the conference that's coming up in Ghana in October for the Pan African Global Trade and Investment Conference. That's going to be coming out of Los Angeles. And so that's the crux of the story. But I'll be interviewing him at some point this month, and so we'll have an opportunity to hear more about him. Now, the last few months, the last 6 months have been 5 months rather, because we're now halfway into the 6th month, And at the beginning of the year, I said, when you get started with whatever you're doing, you have to remain consistent because 52 weeks is not a long time to achieve anything, but it is critical that you have a strategic plan to do what you want to do. And so, people think that when you're doing podcasting and broadcasting and you have a vision and a mission and a view, that it's an easy job. No, it's not an easy job. It's actually a very sophisticated way of suffering, right? And it is interesting that when you suffer, if you have the right mindset, you can actually achieve anything you want to achieve in life. And as I'm speaking, this brings me back to high school, you know? And this is the Spirit of the Lion show this month in June. And I want all of my Caribbean posse to know that as a former student and an alumni now of St. George Secondary School, one of the most important assets that I represent in terms of being critically ready to be consistent and be credible is because in high school, I saw this lion up on a plaque that said, "Be constant." And I laughed in the initial stages because they say, the school used to be called Constant, still is. But it said, "Be constant, aspire, and achieve." And so after I left high school and things were really brung in my space, especially going through all of the variable indifferences and so on that I had to face, I ended up in America. Came up here, and the one critical thing that captured my memory and forged me forward was a combination of dimensional value. Number one, being constant, doing what I do consistently and persistently. And I've said this before, I'm saying it again, I'm saying it now because it has hit critical mass, especially during this chaotic time, not just in Barbados, but across the Caribbean, across the globe. Very important that whatever you're doing or thinking of doing, encourage other people to do good and be consistent at doing it. That is what I did. I didn't have resources. People always say, you have to have money to do this and money to do that. Yes, it's true. I will not countermeasure that reality. But volunteerism is a form of money. Providing encouragement is a form of finance. And that is why you have to cascade your life in a way where you can be offering goodwill and hope in a strategic form that allows you to create a program that can be monetized to sustain you. Now, let me recap a little bit and jump back into high school because I had to realize over time that education being constant, aspiring towards my goal in order to achieve, I could apply that in real time. That became the experience of a lifetime. And so, the one subject that they taught me in school was agriculture science. And I became very interested in the science of it. They used to have these little Bunsen burners and all these different things, and you're doing testing and all of that. And back then it seemed minuscule, but it was not. And so, as I learned how to jump into the agricultural science, become a member of the 4-H club, and start planting things and learning about soil composition and plant food and seasons and so on. In Barbados, the season was always hot. You don't get no winter, but now climate change has brought that forth. But anyway, as I learned that, I was living in Glebland, St. George, because my Aunt Esther, who was the secretary at the school, then said, you need to come and live with me. And I didn't have any problem with that because I didn't have anything at home to be concerned about. And my mother totally agreed. And at 11 years old, I headed on to St. George Secondary, headed into Glebland, and lived from there until I was pretty much graduated from school. That's a long time to live in Cleveland, you know. And so as I was doing that, I came across this piece of land. And as I passed, if you live in Barbados, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you will pass a piece of land and you smell the grass and it smells so good. You're like, man, that's some good stuff. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that we're a different type of island in terms of the plates of in the earth, you know. We're not formed from volcanic matter. We are formed from part of the push up out of the ocean and having the universal plates inside of us that control the balance of the universe and so on. Anyway, that's the metamorphic rock and all that kind of good stuff, sedimentary rock, all that good stuff. So anyway, I'm planting these crops and I grew some chickens, you know, and all that kind of good stuff. And, you know, as I was thinking about it, I didn't think that it was a big deal called entrepreneurship. I'd never even heard the word. But then I joined the Boy Scouts also while I was coming up. As soon as they started the scout troop, I did that. I didn't even know that was a big deal here in America, but it was. Then there was the Girl Guides and the Sea Scouts and the Cadet Corps, you know, and we would be part of the annual celebration that represents independence. And here we are at the middle of the road 60 years later in terms of conversation of independence, which means I was born before Barbados was even independent. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, I'm not going to dig too deep into this, but I just wanted to bring you to a commencement ceremony, an etiology statement, if you will, as to how I came along and why I am so passionate about a lot of what I do, especially if chaos is live and well in my space. You can't afford to allow chaos to impede you. You need to use the experience to grow. And right now, my focus is pretty much connecting what straight talk and motivation is about because I never knew any other way to communicate but to be direct. And what caused me to want to reload this show is kind of trifecta and trifold. As my son Jojo is growing, he's now 7. He got me excited about how he's coming along because for the first time in my life, I have the opportunity to see who I am as a kid. Isn't that amazing? To take the opportunity to look at an offspring who is providing you with a knowledge base about yourself because they're watching you and they're learning things from you, and you must take what they're teaching you critical. And as a dad, I always did that because one of the things I promised myself is that I would try to be the best dad in the world. And I didn't do everything right. I know a lot of people like perfection, and if it is not right, they don't want to do it. It's not working. All of that is pure professional stupidity because no one, any place in the world is perfect. Nothing is perfect. It's a perception of what perfection is, and it's individually garnered by responsibility of the individual. But what's perfect to you will never be perfect to me because I see things differently. And as I reflect on that and as I reflect on him and see what he's doing, as I talked about this show and look at this show, I said, you know what? I've got to really redo this because this is the season for what is going on in Barbados with the school. Now, back then, coming along, St. George Secondary was considered, what did we say? How can I say this? A misfit school. Yeah, in order to qualify to go to high school, you had to take an exam, 11 plus exam. I failed that bad boy miserably. I didn't even know what my grade was when I left. I never asked. No one ever told me. All I knew is that I was going to go to this new school called St. George Secondary School. And I turned up and I turned out. And when I look back at that history, that was the best opportunity matrix I have ever experienced. I mean, you go there, you learn how to create a business for yourself because 11 years old, no dad, I never grew up. I never had a father. My mother was pretty much not present. My grandmother did a lot of the discipline and the raising inside of me, except for a couple of times when I got my butt whooped for any reason I don't even remember. It didn't really make sense to me back then. So that's one of the reasons I'm more strenuous in conversation with my children as opposed to trying to whoop them. It has to be something that's really massive that will cause me to want to hit a kid, you know? And I'm not saying that to impress you or the world, it's just a fact. So when I stop and I think about this, and I say that, I really got excited about where I was in school because the scouting was there. I continued building out on my agriculture and my school, technical drawing, all of the other feasible and practical pieces. So today, inside of this climate, I'm watching that St. George Secondary celebrating the Spirit of the Lion show in June the 20th, I believe. And what's interesting about that is that this being June and National Caribbean American Heritage Month, I am the only historical lion on that committee for the funding of that organization and that initiative in America. And I've never spoken about that out loud because it wasn't that important to do. You go up on the website and you will see my name there. It's kind of just right there with a whole bunch of other people who decided to collaborate and work harmoniously and try to build something. Because when you don't have anything to do or you can't find a reason to exist, take the time to volunteer into your own life. That's my main point. When you have the mindset of volunteerism, it can yield the kind of fiscal value that you're seeking because every single person in the world needs finance. They need money, they need support. Even right now, as we're speaking, the school with this program, a lot of initiatives that I see here on my WhatsApp as I'm scrolling through were funded by the alumni in New York and the alumni in Barbados and some other people. And I've spoken to one of my people in Kenya who has said that she will consider sending some support for the initiative because of my presence in her conversation she calls Life and Business. And so that's a very important thing to recognize that when you volunteer your time, effort, and energy, some things will come back to you. And that brings me to the next step, which I'm going to discuss after this music, because I want to remind you that in the middle of everything that's happening negative in Barbados, and all of the gifts and all of the accolades that are being presented, and for those who are not receiving anything, and for those who think they're nothing, I want to play a song by a young man who I have never met in person. And I play his song many times, not because there's a fiscal value, but because the music is beautiful and that's the name of the song. And his name is Jose Hines. He's in Canada, or I think he was in Barbados for a minute. I do follow on his social media network because he's I'm a fan of Jose Hines. And so he sent me his music and he said, Orby, would you mind when you're doing your shows, would you mind playing my music for me to help promote me? And since I've been volunteering in the Caribbean community for the last 30 plus years, why not? So here we go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Back after this song.
Whoa, yeah, yeah. It's Jose Hines. This life is beautiful. I love it. It's beautiful, yeah. See the birds and the bees and the land and the trees all covered in their glory. See the stars in the sky, they shine so bright to tell a beautiful story. So how can I want to take my life when this life is so sweet? And how can I want to say goodbye when you gave me a voice to speak? Oh, life is beautiful and life is sweet. When you wake up in the morning and you start to breathe, fresh air, fresh air, fresh air. Whoa, life is beautiful and life is sweet. See the son in the yard with his dad working hard, hoping he'd be inspired. See the hen with a chick and a mom taking stick, ready to make that fire. So how can I wanna take my life when this life is so sweet? And how can I wanna say goodbye when you gave me a voice to speak? Oh, oh, life is beautiful and life is sweet. When you wake up in the morning and you start to breathe. Fresh air, fresh air, fresh air. Oh, oh, life is beautiful and life is sweet. See the birds and the bees and the land and the trees all covered in their glory. See the stars in the sky as they shine so bright to tell a beautiful story. So how can I wanna take my life when
Shout out to my peeps in the sky in Lesotho. That is inside of Southern Africa, that donut country called Lesotho.
this life is so sweet? And how can I wanna say goodbye when you gave me a voice to speak? Oh, life is beautiful and life is sweet. When you wake up in the morning and you start to breathe. Fresh air, fresh air, fresh air. Life is beautiful and life is sweet. When you wake up in the morning and you start to breathe. Fresh air, fresh air, fresh air. This life is beautiful and this life is sweet, yeah. You wake up in the morning, yeah, and you start to breathe. Fresh air, fresh air, fresh air.
That's right. Yeah, life is beautiful. And I know that chaos is going on island in the Caribbean and around the globe. But the one thing that I notice is that independent artists always bring the flavor of society into focus. And one of the problems that church have with what they call secular music is that they denounce it and they fight with locals about it. And some of it is not really good music. Some of it doesn't really have the fruits of the loins, as you would say, in terms of meaning and message. And as one person said, and as I confirm and agree with, if you're going to make music that cascades negative, create a positive message as a duality in your music. That helps to balance the conversation and the experience. And I know some of us don't have positive experiences. I've had positive, I've had negative, and I'm telling you, no matter who you are, where you are in the world, how you exist at any time or place, you're going to have negative and you're going to have positive in your life. There's no way around it. It's just the way of life because negative is there to help push you in a positive direction because you'll capture the essence of the experience and realize that that negative behavior is not going to help you. But when you get into the positive area, that's where the enthusiasm shows up. And that's why I always say that enthusiasm means God within you. Finding that core value that you represent. Because your body, your mind, and your spirit is built as a unifying front. Mind and body cogent, working in harmony, is a very powerful tool in this society and in this world and in the experience that we have. And I continue to believe in that because it's a part and parcel of every single thing that I go through. I've always come up against negative value, positive value, and I have to dissect either one in terms of what my motive is. And that's why this show is so important as straight talk and motivation. I try to speak directly to what I'm talking about, why I'm talking about it, and I express that in terms of what I created as a workshop for it. And when people call and ask me, who are you? What do you do? How can you help me? I said, well, let's have a conversation about you. Let's just talk. And as they're talking, I identify pieces or partial pieces, rather, of the Elevate Entrepreneur program. And as we're talking, they begin to ask questions. I begin to ask them questions. And they understand that the content of what I'm sharing is where they have to look inside of themselves to discover and do what I call a SWOT analysis related to that situation: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Because entrepreneurship is not an easy gig, as I said earlier, right? Right now, you're listening to this show, the launch of this show, and what you're hearing are the dimensional pieces that I'm talking about inside of what the Elevate Entrepreneur Program is. That's why Straight Talk and Motivation exist, and that's why I pull it together in terms of who I am. Now, how did I get started here? This is for the young man that called me a couple of days ago and said, "Hey, Aubrey, I want to pick your brain." And people that know me that have taken my course know that I'm not a person that you want to pick his brain, you know? And if you engage me, you will discover that you're going to learn a few things, but it's going to happen so organically that your mind will probably get blown. And that's what has happened over the years with a lot of people. So we're going to play another song and we're going to come back because, life is beautiful, but you got to look at what is so good inside the harmony and the mix of what we're doing. Stick around. After the jingle, we'll play a tune.
Carry Voice Radio.
Believe it.
Hi, this is Gaynell Marshall, and you're listening to ArabVoiceRadio.org, the edutainment station.
Yeah. Are you ready for it?
Oh, na 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 na. Oh, yeah. Woo. So good, so good. You make me feel so good, so good, so good. Yeah. So good, so good. Lord, you make me feel so good, so good, so good. Yeah. When I wake up in the morning and I see the bright sunshine, when I go sleep at night, I wanna praise you every time. 'Cause you've been so good to me when I was bad to you. And I wanna sing praises to you. So good, so good. Lord, you make me feel so good. So good, so good. Yeah. So good, so good. Lord, you make me feel so good. So good, so good, yeah. What have I done to deserve this goodness that you show to me? What I have done to deserve it? All your kindness, Lord, to me. 'Cause when I was nothing, you made me something. When I was down, you turned my life around. You placed my feet, oh Lord, on your solid ground, and you turned my life around. So good, so good. Lord, you've been so good. So good, so good. Yeah. So good, so good. Lord, you make me feel so good. So good, so good. Yeah. When I wake up in the morning, I see the bright sunshine. When I go sleep at night, I wanna praise you every time. 'Cause you've been so good to me. I wanna praise you all the time. I say you've been so good to me, yeah. I wanna praise you all the time. Oh, so good, so good. Lord, you've been so good. So good, so good. Oh yeah, yeah. So good, so good. You make me feel so good, so good, so good, yeah. You know, this is Jose Hines. You make me feel so good, Lord. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that guy brings some good music to the conversation. Lion into Eagle.
This is
How you doing?
saxophonist Romaro Graves, and you're listening to CaribVoiceRadio.org, the edutainment station.
All about edutainment. And it's important that we understand that, as I was saying earlier, my workshop and the things that I do that created this straight talk and motivation, because straight talk and motivation is a dimension of the workshop. The workshop represents the core of what I do. It is one of the reasons I ended up pioneering a lot of things because I had a structured plan, a strategic plan that has value and brings result to the conversation. And in every conversation that I've ever had in my life, I realize 10 things happen that people don't even think about, look at, or even want to invest in. And so I said, well, if I were a person taking my workshop, what would I want from them? Well, number one, I would want them to identify who they are in terms of why you need my service. Why would you need to take this workshop? What is lacking inside of you? Have you done a strength or weakness, opportunity, threat level? What's going on with you? Because in all things that we are looking at inside of the entire conversation of artificial intelligence, of music, of spirituality, existence, life, breathing, the one thing that the body and the human capital value requires is the discovery of self worth and value. You matter. And that's why if you see me doing one, two, three shows, that's a dimensional value that I'm doing, and I'm segregating it in terms of conversation, or separating it rather, because I don't. The word segregation is not a good word historically in terms of my culture and your culture, but discovering the most valuable resource towards success. And the one thing that ends that sentence is the word success, because you have to understand your value in the changing course of time. And I always focus on letting people know I'm not interested in what you're doing as an employee. I want to know is, do you know who you are as an individual? Have you ever been asked that question? And many people show up and say, Aubrey, it's amazing you would ask that because no one has ever really truly asked me that question. And what happens out of that conversation is the second comment or second review moment happens where I say, well, have you discovered the spirituality of what makes you who you are or how you identify with yourself? I've been in conversations with people where they show up and tell me they're a Christian, and that comes with a sense of entitlement. And when I don't go for the entitlement piece, they get all offended. What did you hear what I said? I said I was a Christian. And I'm saying, well, why are you advertising it? I'm supposed to feel and see who you are energetically. If I can say to myself, for example, I see you in the street and I can pick up on your feeling that you're a decent person and have a quick conversation with you, I can didact or assume or ask a question directly, straight to you, straight talk. Do you identify with this religious format in terms of behavior? Because you have something you're relying on. And the blueprint is already inside of you anyway, so that will help you to strengthen that. So that's the spirituality in the mix. And while you're doing that, are you being authentic about it? Are you studying to approve what you think you know in terms of historical and current archives, in terms of what you are saying about who you are or who the other person in your space is? Because this is not just about you, it's about other people. If you talk to someone and you discover the person to be authentic, yes, you want to hang around them because that person has discovered a certain mindset that helps them to emancipate themselves towards a culture of success from mental slavery. Because when you don't believe but you act inappropriately, there is a causation behind that. As I stop and think again about my son and about other kids, he's 7, he's growing up. I've never seen Jojo upset with anybody except for one person that he came upon, actually, two people in his life that I know about. that he backed up from because the energy wasn't quite there. Then number four, the things that you learn in school, the things that you learn in life, I discovered that that becomes part of the five senses that you have. And the five empowerment construct managing the synergetic media. Can you see me now? You. Who are you? In terms of, can you see your value in transit? People are telling you about themselves. You're telling people about themselves and yourself, and you're having conversation. But do you really remember what they say 5 minutes after they finish talking, or do you even listen to them intently? So that's a good question that you have to ask yourself. So I'm going to stop there for today, and I'll come back. And for anyone that's interested in learning more about these 10 steps or these 10 empowerment tools, you can log on to Elevate, ELEVATE, hyphen entrepreneurs.com and learn more and listen more. But remember, when we started out this morning or this afternoon, we said that love matters. And I said this to someone before. Anchor your life in love. And as I close out, I'm going to end this show with The Time to Love Is Here by Herbert Harris. Herbert Harris is one of the most prolific international public speakers, trainers, coaches, and an all around exciting guy who's extremely authentic. I've known him for over 20 years. And I met him on this same show. I interviewed a long time ago a jazz artist, and she said, Aubrey, I have a guy that I think would do really well on your show. And I said, I never, who's he? Herbert Harris. I never heard of him. Well, you know what? I'm going to give him your number. You're going to talk to him. And I hung out with Herbert. We talked. I interviewed him. He came back on air. We talked. We talked more. We linked up in New York City. We met. We talked more. And we became brothers from another mother. But he's my older brother because he's 83 years old. He's 20 years older than I am. Isn't that incredible? And he's a fantastic author, speaker, coach, trainer. And I look forward to the day maybe we can sit down and do something together because I think the world will get excited. But here's the song, Time for Love is Here. And as I close out and as I begun, I told you it's that kind of thing. Now, Herbert has a book in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So for all of you independent artists, the young man that I shared your music, I want to thank you for sharing your music. I will be in touch with you as we push forward on the quest for promotion, marketing, and sincerity in terms of what we do. Because there's a lot for me to say and a lot to do, and now is the time to do it, and the time is limited. Straight Talk and Motivation Reloaded is only 10 interviews. Next week, hopefully, we will have Kerwin Boxell from kerwinboxell.biz, KERWINN BOXILL dot biz. And Kerwin is an interesting person. And he came into my space by default of a request from one of my students who was a graduate of the same Elevator Entrepreneur Workshop I'm talking to you about. So let's go. Tell you more about that as we continue and as you stay tuned to caribvoiceradio.org. We're going to be loading the site with a lot more content soon. And of course, you can find out more about me at aubreyspeaks.com. So I want to give a final shout out to all of those who are listening in and across the continent of Africa. And this show will be available tonight, hopefully, around 8 p.m. Eastern for repeat. And then it will be up on Elevate website, elevationradio.net, for you to go to the archive room and listen or watch, depending on what we're doing. And I'm going to let you know that the people associated with the production of this show are all personally trained in their area, number one, by yours truly, and or professional graduates of another organization that points them in the direction to be called certified. Be out of here. Here comes Herbert.
Living a life that's empty, singing a song that's sad, makes you kind of wonder why everything seems so bad. So many sad faces gazing into space, waiting for somebody else to make the world a better place. Leave it up to the other man or to another day. If anything goes down, be looking the other way. I say, come on everybody, come on everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done. I tell you, come on everybody, come on everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done. I often sit and wonder how things could be this way. I guess we'd better tell them this is a brand new day. Don't leave it up to the other man or to another day. Take your life into your hands, make it work out your way. It's not the number of times you stumble down and fall upon the ground. It's the number of times you pick yourself up and keep on moving on to meet your goal. Come on everybody, come on everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done. I tell you, come on everybody, come on everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done. Come on everyone, the time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done. I tell you, come on everybody, come on everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done. Come on everybody, come on everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done. I tell you, come on everybody, come on everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done.
Yeah, Herbert, man, I'm telling you. Make this stuff up.
Carry Voice Radio.
Believe it.